Hello, everyone, and welcome to this your English class. And today we are going to be talking about modal verbs. Remember that my name is Teacher Ivan Cáceres, and we will be reviewing some of the things that you already know. And also, we will be checking some others because remember that we have to talk about perfect models, how to use them, and we're going to check some examples during our classes. Okay? So I hope that you like this lesson and that you really understand everything related to it. Are you ready? Let's start. Okay, so for starter, what is a modal verb? What are modal verbs? So it says here that modal verbs, or modals as they are called, they are auxiliary verbs, okay? Auxiliary verbs, which we use because we need to indicate something, okay? Same as any other auxiliary verb that we use in English. We use them with another verb. Okay, it says they are special verbs that behave irregularly in English. Why? Because they are different from normal verbs like work, play, or visit. Okay, they give additional info about the function or the main verb that follows it. Okay, so it's not like just using a verb or a model and that's a whole full sentence. No, 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 no. You need to add another verb to give the meaning of the sentence and to show what you are trying to show. Okay? So they are necessarily linked to another verb. Okay? They are auxiliaries because they need something else to have a different meaning. Okay? So here you have some of the modal verbs. I'm going to move my camera a little bit. Here you have some of the verbs or the modal verbs, okay, that we can consider as modals, as I just said in classes before. So you have can, could, may, might, will, would, must, shall, and should. I also write down here ought to, but as you will see, as I explained in classes, and you will see later on, ought to and some of the similar expressions like need to and had to are actually expressions. They are not modal verbs because they are not used as a modal verb works. Modal verb normally is just a word, okay, and it does not allow you to have any kind of conjugation. I mean, you cannot have it in the past. If you want to use it in the past, or if you want to use it differently, you have to use another model. So that's the reason why had to, need to, and ought to shouldn't be considered models, even though they work like them. Okay, they are expressions. Okay, so here you have the modal verbs, as I was saying: can, could, may, might, will, would, must, shall, and should. And this is very interesting because for us who speak Spanish as a native language, okay, most modal verbs are actually, they have the meaning of two different words, okay? Or if you want to say them, they could be three different words, okay? So they could mean poder, okay, deber, and also they could mean tener que. So they are used to talk about things that we can do, that we should do, or that we must do. Okay? So they can be used to talk about probabilities, possibilities, abilities, obligations, etc., etc., etc. Okay? And since their usage is very simple, as you will see, because they work as any other regular auxiliary verb, what we are going to focus in this lesson is especially their meaning, okay, and the cases in which you can use it or no. Because, as I said, the usage and the grammar is really simple. Okay, so we're going to work today with meaning. And because of that, I have here this pretty good box for you to check. And in this box, you can see that you have the modal, okay? You have the modal verb, you have the function that it has, and then you have some examples, Okay. And when I say examples, is because you can have some different sentences in which you will see how to use this specific modal verb. Okay. So for the modals, we have here, for example, it says can, which is the first one, can be translated as poder when we talk about a skill that you have, okay, or an ability that you have. So it says here that you can use it to talk about ability, you can use it to talk about permission, or you can use it to talk about probability. Of course, for ability is just something that you can do, like in the example, I can speak English. Okay, this is something that you can do. To ask for permission or to give permission, which is an informal way to use it, okay, is an informal way of using the language, because we will see that there is another one to ask or to give permission, which is may, okay, and may is going to be more formal than can. But anyways, to give permission, you can have, for example, can I go to the bathroom, to ask for permission. Excuse me, can I go to the bathroom? Of course, as I said before, this question you can also do it with may. Okay, may I go to the bathroom? Excuse me, may I go? May I do this or that? Okay, so in this case, they're using can. Can I go to the bathroom? And for probability, you can also use can. Okay, even though there's another one, or there are two others which also are related to probabilities, which are may and might. Okay. So, for example, you have it here. It can't be Mark because he's in London. Okay, it can be Mark. That can be Mark because he's in London. So it's impossible that is him. Okay. Then you have could, and as you can actually see, I'm using can there. Could is the past of can. Okay, sometimes. Sometimes could is or can be the past of can. So because of that, if in can we have ability, in could we will have past ability. Okay, in can we have a permission, in could we will have a past permission, and in can we have a probability, and in could we have a probability also, but is smaller than the probability with can. Okay, and finally we have a request, which is to ask somebody something. Okay, to ask something to somebody. Could you please tell me what do you prefer? Could you please go with me? Okay, could you please call her? Could you please text him? Whatever you want to request. Okay, so here we're checking. For possibility, the example is this. He could speak French when he was 6 years old. Okay, nowadays he can't. So nowadays he says, Je ne parle français. Okay, he could speak French when he was 6 years old. Okay, now he cannot. In past permission, he says he could go to the theater. He could go to theater because he had the permission to do so. Okay, now he doesn't have the permission. Probability says it could get much hotter in July. This is a probability, but it's not as big as with can, okay, or any others. It could get much hotter in July. Maybe it will. And for request, it says, I could lend you my notebook. Okay, I could. If you ask me, I could. But as you're not asking me, I won't. Okay, good. So now we're checking may and might. For may and might, it says that the modal, okay, is may and might. They are used for probabilities and for permissions. As I said before, remember, I told you that may could be used instead of can to ask or to give permission. And here you have the example. May I come in? Is the same. You can do the same thing with can, but with may, you sound a little bit more polite. Okay? So it's better to use may depending on the context. And then for probability, you have a bigger probability with may than the one that you have with might. Okay? It may snow tomorrow. Maybe it will snow tomorrow. And if you say it might rain today, the probability is smaller. Okay. I could, of course, I could replace might here. It might snow tomorrow, but the probability is going to be smaller than if I say it with may. Okay. Then we have here a few things to talk about, and it says might can also be used to make reference to the past of may, especially in reported speech. Remember that we already talked about reported speech. So here you have an example. It says, so let's suppose that Fabiana is saying, I may go there in the afternoon. Maybe. It's probably that I will go there in the afternoon. Then in the reported speech, you would have to say, she said that she might go there in the afternoon. Okay? She said that she might go there in the afternoon. And then down it says when it's used to probabilities, as you see, they are less likely to happen. This is what we talked about already. With may, you have a higher chance of things to happen, and with might, the probability is smaller. Okay? Good. Let's go on. So now we have must and should. Okay? Must and should. So it says must is used for prohibition. For example, you must not speak loudly. It is a hospital, okay? Or it is a hospital. And for a deduction or a probability when you are certain that what you're saying is 100% true, okay? The teacher must be marked. I have seen his bicycle outside. In this case, must has a different meaning, which is similar to the one that we have in Spanish for tiene que o debe when we are certain about something, okay? El profesor tiene que ser Mark o debe ser Mark, pero estoy seguro de eso. ¿Por qué? Porque acabo de ver que su bicicleta está afuera, ¿ok? Entonces, en este caso, la probabilidad o la deducción es prácticamente infalible, ¿ok? Por eso podemos utilizar este modal como si fuera tiene que o debe, ¿ok? Y por el contrario, o en la otra contraparte de deber, tenemos a should, que es para dar consejos, ¿ok? To give advices. So should is like to give an advice someone, but it's not mandatory. Okay, it's not the same as you use must for. Okay, when you use must, then it's not an advice, it's like a command, it's mandatory. When you use should, then it's not mandatory at all. Okay, so for example, you shouldn't smoke here, it is unhealthy. You shouldn't smoke, it is unhealthy. Okay, no deberías fumar porque no es bueno para tu salud. Okay, so actually this is just an advice, it's not a prohibition. A prohibition would be you must not smoke here because this is a hospital. Okay, similar to this example. But in this case, you shouldn't smoke. You are not prohibiting anything to anybody. You're just giving it or giving them an advice. Okay. Then he says that must, to talk about the necessity, has no past form. Because of that, we must use the expression had to indicate that the sentence is in the past. For example, it says the students must come to class on time. This is mandatory. Okay, it is mandatory that the students come to class on time, that they assist or that they attend to classes every day on time. This is mandatory. So because of that, we can also have the past of that sentence, which would be had to. The students had to come to class on time as a consequence of something else. For example, let's complete this sentence as let's say the dean or the headmaster said that the students must come to class on time every day. So because of that, the students had to come to class on time. Okay, that would be the past sentence on that case or in that scenario. Now it says also when we want to express the absence of necessity, okay, we cannot use must in negative or mustn't. Why? Because remember that mustn't is used here, as it says in the example, to talk about prohibitions. So this is prohibited, then we use mustn't. Okay? So it says, since it represents a prohibition, because of that, we use don't have to in the present and didn't have to in the past, and so on with every tense that we need to use. Okay? But we are using have to, okay? Which is the same expression that we were using before. If you check the previous slide, you will see that we were using had to. So in this case, we are going to continue using have to, but with the auxiliary depending on the tense, depending on if we want to talk on simple present or simple past or any tense that we're talking, okay? So it says, for example, my mother said this: you don't have to visit your grandparents if you don't want to. Okay, you don't have to visit your grandparents if you don't want to. This sentence, if you remember, is a conditional on type 0. Okay, because it is a condition that doesn't change anything in reality and that uses simple present. Okay, we're not talking about something surreal, we're talking about reality, but we are using simple present. So you don't have to visit your grandparents if you don't want to. Tú no tienes que visitar a tus abuelos si no quieres hacerlo. ¿Ok? Y el report speech sería utilizando el pasado en vez del presente, obviamente. My mother said that I didn't have to visit my grandparents if I didn't want to. Mi mamá dijo que yo no tenía que visitar a mis abuelos si yo no quería. ¿Ok? I didn't have to if I didn't want to. ¿Ok? No tenía que hacerlo si no quería. Good. So you have to beware, especially with must. Remember that what I just said. Must can only be used in present to talk about a strong obligation, okay? A strong necessity. And when you use it in the negative, is the opposite of the necessity, which would be the prohibition, okay? So watch out on that. If you want to talk about the past, then you have other choices like using, as I said, had to, okay, or didn't had to, okay, but you cannot use must in the past, okay. It always indicates present. Then we're going to talk about the future, which is one that you already know already because you checked this information before, and I know that you did. So for future, we use the most common model that you should already know, which is will. Of course, we can have future also with other models, but in this case, we will use only will and would, okay, to indicate future. The future will is a certain future, something that makes you feel very comfortable about, that you're confident, okay, about, and you can use it because of this, you can use it to make predictions or to take decisions, okay, which are spontaneous. And would is going to be a little bit like the opposite. It can be the past of will, or it can also be a future which has a condition, okay, like I would go if I could, something like that. So it's an unreal scenario, okay, not something very or quite confident. What you're confident about is not like that, okay. So for will, we have, for predictions, for example, we have, I think he will study harder this time. I think he will study harder this time. So that is a prediction, okay. I think he will. I don't know, but I think he will, okay. And for a spontaneous decision, you have here, oh, it's very hot today, I'll open the window. I'll open the window. It's very hot today, I'll open the window. That is a decision that you take, okay? For example, you can say, I'll go to Caracas this vacation, or I'll go to the beach on August, okay? Because I want to, okay? And that is, of course, I will. The negative of will, remember, is won't, okay? I won't, or you can say, I will not. And finally, it says here that would is used similarly to will, but in the past, as I mentioned before. And at the same time, would can be used to talk about possibilities or probabilities and on contemporary realities or surreal things, okay? Things that are not exactly real or exactly true, okay? Good. So if you want to check or if you want to have any further review on this subject, remember that you have the materials in our classroom, okay, in our virtual classroom. You can check them. And I highly invite you to check or to recheck this video if you have any questions, and also to ask them to me. Remember that you can always contact me, okay? But before the end of this lesson, I just want us to do a quick review. And because of that, I will leave you with an exercise. Okay. This would be practice time. If you're ready, you can do it already. And if you're not ready, remember, you can pause the video anytime you want. Okay. And you can rewatch anything that you need to check before you do this practice with some exercises. Okay. So I will leave you the exercises here. Remember, you have to pause the video to do it. Okay. You can complete them and then you will attach them to our virtual classroom. So here you have the exercises. I will read them pretty quickly so that you know what you have to do. And remember that I will be checking these exercises later on. Okay, it says pick the correct modal to complete the sentence depending on the context. So you will read the whole sentence. You can use any modal that you want. Sometimes there is more than one correct choice. Okay, so read it correctly, and then you pick the model that you prefer. Okay, for example, number one, it says he's so ill that he, and in this space right here, you should, or in this blank, you should complete it with a modal verb. Okay, he's so ill that he see the doctor. You can also write it down in the commentaries below. Okay, and I will be checking your progress. If you have any questions, remember, don't doubt in contacting me. And I hope that you've liked this class as always. And I hope that you have a wonderful day. Remember, keep it up and don't give up. I'll see you around. Bye.